Wild and crazy
Crazy
guys.
guys. Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
I don't know why we're starting.
Oh.
Hey.
How you doing? Angela, Mona, Samantha. Got to take a drink of water now because my Tony Danza
Absolutely.
is only good for 3 words before my throat burns out.
Absolutely. It's a very tough accent and vocals. Yeah, you definitely stress the vocals there. Can only do Tony Danza for like maybe 2 seconds.
Yep.
And
Man,
then
I,
Angela
I,
would
I
jump
gotta I
in.
gotta beef that up. I gotta. Those are rookie numbers.
Well, we'll have to keep it up for another show. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. We're live. I'm not going to, well, I guess we could just say it. We always say that. We are live. We're alive and
Yeah.
live on the interwebs on this another special episode of the Best of Our Week, as well as the Android Bay co-hosted and co-produced,
Post
co-broadcasted
stream.
all over the place. Wherever you're able to catch your either audio or video podcast. We're definitely happy that you guys are joining us today. I am one of your hosts, TK Bay, as well as Juan Carlos Bagnell. I know typically we don't introduce ourselves, but for the audio podcast, we are your
We should
hosts for
start
tonight.
actually pretending like we're trying to make
Like
a
this is a legit
reasonable
thing.
professional podcast. I mean, I
I,
just did all this like typing without muting my mic, so we
I-
can't be taking it too seriously.
no. But I already see we have a lot of good friends already. Andrew, of course, Fat Produce is hanging out with us. Jeff, El Jefe Reviews. Darren is in there as well. Are you alive? We are
We are
alive.
live.
We are alive, and we are here. Let's just say that it's beautiful Thursday
Right, we're
afternoon.
present.
Very cold. We're finally starting to feel some of that fall weather. It's like the weather's finally got the cue. Like, hey, a high of 60 today.
I'm
Um,
good with that. And I
I
love that we're saying like, oh, it was so cold, and you're like, I had to put on a hoodie today. And
I,
you're
I
like,
couldn't
ooh, it was
walk
so
outside in the middle of
chilly.
the day with the sun, not have a jacket on. But it was also windy. That was the other thing. The wind exacerbated the temperature, so the wind chill factor was actually much lower than what it actually was. But it's definitely very nice, and of course, we appreciate it. We got a little bit of rain a couple of days ago. This again, the winter
Hmm.
storm of I was going to
Yeah,
say
you gotta.
2022, the way we have it in Southern California. Um, but we have a lot of good stuff to talk about this week. It may
We
seem
got
like
a
it's a
lot of
fully
stuff to talk
slanted
about.
into a Microsoft conversation, but that's because,
They're due. We've got
they're
it.
due.
This is
Absolutely.
actually one of the most exciting products of the year, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and it's been a few years. I've been waiting to get my hands on
Hmm.
a mobile on Windows on ARM. Let's just say that basically this as a general concept. We have access to many,
Are we just doing it?
x86.
Are we just
Oh,
jumping
I don't
right
know.
in? Are we just say
I
Surface
I
Pro 9?
I
Are we
don't
just
know.
saying
Do you
like
want
that's what we're gonna talk about? Is this thing? I just hit myself in the baseball cap with the
to
tablet because I'm so
because
excited to be holding
because
this up on a
because
camera.
that's the type of fans we are. We could jump in. We can jump in with the Surface Pro 9, or we can even
Okay,
go
when
into
did you get
Surface Pro
yours?
headphones.
Did you beat
Yesterday
me?
afternoon. No, no, last night, yesterday afternoon.
Okay, I got mine yesterday too.
I'm completing my 24 hours. I'm ready to put my review tomorrow morning, so it's going to be ready
Yes,
for everybody.
full
With
review,
my with
long
my
term
brief with
review.
my brief hands-on, that makes it a long-term review because I had the brief hands-on not that long ago.
That's right.
So in
That's right.
theory, I should be able to just basically
And and
the whole time.
in true tech reviewer fashion, I hear all we need to do is take our review of like a Surface 7,
I was gonna say
and
I'm
then
gonna take
just
my
copy
laptop
and
to Go
paste.
2 and just
Right.
change the
All you need to
title.
do is take from like an older product and then just
Hmm.
cut out,
That's the
Surface
recipe.
7 Pro and put in Surface 9 Pro, and then say, but what about the legacy programs in x86? And then that's all we need to do to review. Then we're all done.
That it literally is all we have to talk about, and the
So,
fact
folks,
of the
next week
matter,
we're gonna be back with more Sam Apple news. So stay tuned for that because that's better
Sam
SEO.
Apple Pixel New. No, it is actually
Sam
better when
Apple
we just
Pixel
have
news.
it.
Yeah, that's right.
And coincidentally, I think also OnePlus released the Nord N300 on T-Mobile. That was also a little bit of a.
That's true.
I got a news briefing this afternoon about that. But no, seriously, a couple of weeks ago, Juan and myself, we had an amazing opportunity to be able to go check out some of the new Surface
Hmm.
ecosystem solutions that Microsoft put
Yeah.
out. There was an update to the Surface 5, obviously the Surface Pro 9, and yours truly that Juan just hit himself in the head with. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to put this: the Surface Pro 9 5G, running the HCX from Qualcomm, a Windows on ARM solution. Now, obviously, one of the biggest things that makes this very exciting is that it utilizes and gets the benefits of Windows on ARM, meaning long battery life. We have
Yeah.
the power computing, obviously, with the processing power that we get, but it is still Windows on ARM. So, as Juan was alluding at the beginning, there are some things that you kind of need to be aware of. Windows on ARM is, by definition, not exactly x86, but it does
Yeah.
now. It's getting better. I'll say that it's getting better
The
with
emulation
every.
is way better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, no,
It's
definitely,
it's
and
you getting into very specific things. So spoiler, I was setting
please.
mine up, did a bunch of stupid stuff, and then had to wipe it
Spoiler to
out.
your tomorrow
And
morning's review. Is that what we're saying? That's good.
I won't be able to publish a review tomorrow because I had to spend a chunk of time today uh, nuking the review unit and resetting it up. But I had tried doing things like I installed DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
It doesn't support the Qualcomm GPU, so I
Hmm.
can't use DaVinci Resolve, but the installation is successful now.
Okay.
So with some support, again, if we could ever get some of that initial developer support that we
Yeah.
always see extended to Apple products,
Oh,
like
absolutely. Yeah. Apple Silicon
if
got
if
DaVinci.
we could figure out just like, hey, this is a Qualcomm SoC. This isn't, it's an Adreno GPU.
Hmm.
We know what this kind of OCL support should look like for products, and you'd be opening up to a wealth of products that would be coming out in this kind of ARM space. This
Hmm.
isn't necessarily, thankless work for DaVinci to support something like this. But we're so much closer now than we've ever been before. The whole rest of my normal workflow and work suite has been pretty much the same, with the added benefit of being able to sideload Android APKs,
Yes.
and that's
Yeah.
been working phenomenal.
I saw the short that you put out. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that short
Yeah. That short was short.
was a little different. We're talking about Google solution for Android gaming on your PC, and that Google solution is not it.
No.
That's not the gig. But I'm hoping that with better Android app support, even if if it's not coming from the Google Play Store already, that's
Well, the
been.
Amazon App Store, I think it's the biggest
Oh,
the
for sure.
push that we're seeing in there. I think it isn't
But
coming from the Google Play Store, but it
But
is
with
in a
the
sense.
omissions,
Yeah.
like for example, maybe I'm cribbing an APK of one of my favorite video editors, and I tried installing that, and that worked way better than I thought it would.
Okay.
And even down into things like, as you're futzing around with the Android runtime on
Hmm.
Windows, you can pull up the developer options just like they look on any Android phone, and you can tinker pretty deep. And this is surprisingly well supported and surprisingly robust. I mean, again, if you've ever played with BlueStacks, you know some of the limitations of emulating Android in another
Hmm.
space. This is built so much more fluidly
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
how Windows operates. So you sideload an APK, and then your app is just ready to
Running.
go like any other Windows system app. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
we've closed so much of the sort of app gap. If we
Yeah. Yeah.
remember all those people complaining about Windows Phone, there's a lot you can do to make Windows on ARM function just like any other tablet, just like any other computer,
Hmm.
and with, again, phenomenally robust support for things like VLC Media Player, for Firefox web browser, all of those kind of staples that can get you around the web and kind of close up some of those holes that might be there for web services. This thing
Yeah.
has been absolutely phenomenal.
Well, you seem like you were actually way ahead of me on that one because I think for me, what happened is I got around the same time I got the Surface Pro 9 5G.
Mm-hmm.
I also got another product,
Oh,
not a Microsoft product, but I bought this. This is the G Cloud from Logitech. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So I've been actually trying to do a comparison between this and, of course, our
there's
favorite
Steam Deck.
Steam
Yeah.
Deck, which I feel like is a
Well, hold
natural.
on to
But
that,
we'll talk
because
about that.
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that'll
We
be
do this
after.
thing where we kind of jump ahead and we start giving
No, no,
conclusions
no,
in the middle of our
no,
assessments and stuff.
no
Um,
conclusions.
so at the end of the day, I still have more to say. But at the end of the day, um, so I kind of want to get a sense.
Yeah.
Um, my big, I think my big concern for Surface Pro 9 SQ3,
Hmm.
Windows on ARM, is that it was going to feel in some way fundamentally different. And I
Yeah.
think one of the things that's been really refreshing is that it feels like any other Surface that I've used. And I
It,
can't say that's always been true of the sort of like the Windows RT and some of the other
oh
scaled
yeah.
down
No, no, absolutely.
flavors of
Yes.
Windows that we played
Hmm.
with. And this is the closest I think we've gotten yet. It's not perfect, but it's the closest we've gotten yet to this being sort of invisible to the consumer. And again, we're so far ahead on all of these little app based programs, all of these
Hmm.
little web based services.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like there's an even smaller group of consumers who would be inclined to pick something like this up and then really feel like there's this one program I just absolutely can't live without that I can't find a way to replicate in this kind of workflow. It's really been it's really been refreshing. It's really been encouraging that this is the right track. If I want a tablety, all day battery life, web connected, cell
Always on.
phone
Yeah,
radio
always on
connected
connected.
kind of,
Exactly.
yeah, always on data, this needs to be the way to go. And we've got to kind of be okay with a few of the teething pains, just like we're always okay with the transition and the teething pains from other manufacturers like Apple.
Oh, no, no, absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing. You stated it originally. I think it's more about development support. It's really more about I'll be very frank. The sales, obviously, from an Apple Silicon is much higher than what you see right now with the Windows on ARM kind
For
of a
sure.
situation. There isn't that many PCs that you typically come out every
No.
year that are ARM based. The reason why I'm excited for this device over like some of the earlier generations, I've been around early generations where the Surface X that came out a couple of years ago in 2019, that was also a Windows on ARM. There's again Microsoft
Hmm.
always spearheading this conversation, but it was very limited, as you said. The support, the emulation, the development has been getting much better, with the exception of the fact that once you start looking into more productivity type solutions. For me, the setup on this was absolutely like a regular Windows PC. I did not know, you don't see any difference. I downloaded Chrome, I installed Chrome, all my profiles transitioned, everything sets up.
Yeah.
Microsoft comes in there, all of the stuff comes in normally. It actually looks, with the exception of the antenna bands at the top, looks exactly like the Pro 9. And I
Yeah.
love the fact that that was a decision that Microsoft decided to go with, saying, look, yes, this is our Windows on ARM solution, but aesthetically, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
And on a general user base, like if you're just using it for like, office work, browsing, even running Microsoft xCloud, I'm like, you could run Microsoft xCloud
Yeah.
on this and run some games. I'm getting a very familiar or similar experience that the Laptop Go 2, but a little bit smoother. I feel like it's a little bit better, smoother connection here.
Completely agree, and it
Very,
also showcases where I feel Microsoft is more confident in this than when they did the Surface Pro X,
yeah.
where they
And
purposely pulled it away from the rest of the Surface Pro lineup.
the
It was
very different, yeah,
technically a
very different
different
solution.
product,
Yep.
and now again, I really feel we're cresting that peak. We're not totally over it yet, but
Hmm.
we're cresting that peak where fewer and fewer people are going to find the practical differences between this and an Intel powered Surface Pro 9.
Exactly.
Again, it's little things like, okay, maybe if you need Thunderbolt, yeah, then you need a proper sort of a laptop grade CPU.
Yeah, yeah.
But the practical reality of what you're going to connect to a USB C port,
Hmm.
it's really unlikely that someone's going to connect something and it's completely not going to work with the way that USB and Thunderbolt are kind of sort of Venn diagram overlapping
Yeah,
on
yeah.
functionality. So again, I've been very impressed. All of the little tweaks in Windows 11 have
The,
really
the
helped
updated,
make this
so we
feel,
get a latest edition of Windows 11,
yeah,
which I haven't even gotten. So like the new, the Windows Explorer tab functionality, which is absolutely freaking fantastic. The
yeah.
same gestures that we were able to get, where you bring up the window to the top and you try to move it and it shows you a preview how it's going to look like.
Well,
All
and
those things.
tell me that this doesn't seem smoother than the preview devices that we went hands on with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, no.
Like
There was a few
we
updates after
I
this
was
when
looking
I
at
set
some
it
of my
up.
video and I was looking at some of those like, yeah, that worked and it was a persistent drag, but that wasn't very smooth, and I was worried that that was a problem with the ARM
I am doing it right
SoC.
now, my friend. This is so
Actually,
nice.
yeah,
It's like
I might be able to go top down if you guys give me 1 second. So let me
uh,
see if this works.
top down. Why not? Let's go ahead and see. Let's do it live. Let's do it realistically, in time. But no, no,
I have
seriously.
no idea if this is really gonna
So okay,
happen.
while Juan's doing that, why don't I do this? I want to show you guys what I look like from the Surface Pro 9. And now I am like looking at, I don't know why I'm just running this. Okay, so let me do this. Can I do this correctly? Da, da, da. Nope, that's not what I was trying to do. TK, do it right. And here we are. Okay. So the audio is still coming from the microphone. You're still talking to me on the Rode microphone, but I'm using the Surface
Ooh.
Pro 9, the upgraded camera. The camera, as you can see, is actually pretty decent. That was one of the big updates that they did in the Pro 9 series. And so whenever you're ready, Juan, just let me know. I'm just filling in some air. I didn't get a chance to use the audio from it because while I would love to, because it does have some really good noise cancellation, I didn't want to disturb the audio version of the podcast. So I just wanted to show you guys kind of what
Yeah,
I
for
look
sure.
like, straight up from the actual Pro 9 using the front facing camera, which is a big part of what we do. Video conferencing, working from home these are going to be the big things. And the motion. Okay, Juan is up. Let's do this. I'm going to remove myself. Okay, I'll remove my second self. And
So
look,
I'm just kind
yeah.
of messing around and stuff right now, but I don't know. Let me pull
Oh,
up
look at
what.
that. You went with the silver Surface headphones too. I went with the
Yeah.
black.
So I wanted something that just looked a little different from some of my other cans.
Absolutely.
This is such a small thing, but think about how much work we've done in Android land just to
Hmm.
get smooth transitional gestures on a Fold 4 or on a Surface Duo,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Swiping and sliding web pages or windows is really not as easy as we think it is.
Hmm.
You have to kind of purposely break Android, and it took us to Android 12L to start incorporating some of that stuff natively. And the way that this now tracks movement as you kind of move around, and you see as I slide up, there's like this little top bar. Apologies, audio listeners, because you're not seeing what I'm talking about, but there's a little
Juan is
top
using
bar
his
that
right
pops up.
hand to move a window up and down, and he's tracking it with
Thank
his
you for the
index finger.
accessibility narration. That is actually really well done. And so
Yes.
now, once I get close to that little top bar, I can better immediately snap to any grid layout, and it's a fluid gesture that works with any part of the system UI or any window that you have up currently. It's
Absolutely.
those little things like I was really skeptical that even into the Windows 11 update that this stuff would really work as well
Hmm.
as what Microsoft was claiming. And it does feel so much more tablety. So like going to your start menu and it doesn't just pop up. I mean, if you tap
It,
it, you can make
it,
it pop up.
of course,
But
yeah,
if
yeah.
you swipe like it's the home gesture on an
It stay,
Android,
it stays with your
it
finger.
it persistently follows your finger through that gesture. It
Hmm.
completes the gesture with your finger. Same thing like if we want to just snap like any other type of snap gesture on Windows. That it's such a small thing, but it
Hmm.
really does change just the feel of how you're operating a tablet. I mean, this
And
feels so
well,
much cleaner and more fluid than what we've come up with on like iPad OS. You know,
hmm.
iPad OS has always had like, oh, you can do this multitasking. It has always felt so cumbersome to make two apps occupy an iPad compared to snap gestures on Windows. And now we've got it with this really great fluid finger
Hmm.
following that we've never had before.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the biggest factor that I appreciate about it is that if I didn't tell like, let's say if I handed this over to my wife and I didn't tell her this was a Windows on ARM, she wouldn't be able to tell the difference. The functions, the things that she uses, the
Same.
web-based application, it runs the same. It pretty much, and I think that's the biggest. The reason why we sound excited about the fact that something that is on Windows on ARM runs the same as x86, it's because we want it to be more of a functional solution, an option for
Yeah.
people to say, look. I want a computer that can last with me all day. I want a computer that can be connected all the time, and that doesn't die in 2 hours, or like my laptop that we're actually using to stream from in literally an hour. I was on a plane one time
Yeah.
going to Germany. I had less than an hour between booting it up, finishing whatever I was doing. I couldn't even render the video. I had to wait till I got to the hotel because I couldn't do it on the plane. This can hang with you anywhere, and with the ability, as Juan was doing, now I'm going to actually try that on my own, of side loading a mobile, an Android version of
So
a
it's a
video
pain in
editor.
the butt.
Right? No, no,
It's not easy.
there's a few
It's
options.
not
I'd
like
like to, yeah, yeah. I would love to see. I mean, I'm sure there's a few options we can try. Power Director, is KineMaster in there? Which one did you? Which you tried Power? I'm assuming
so.
you went Power Director.
So I had Power Director on there. That was before I had to nuke it and wipe it all out. So I mean, basically, the process is you've got to install the Amazon App Store, get that Android
Of
runtime
course. Yeah, yeah.
working, and then from there you can, it kind of generates its own local. What do you call that?
It basically sets up its own libraries, all the necessary Android
Right.
files
It's
and
just one
databases.
extra step. I mean, if you're familiar with doing ADB commands, there's just one
Mhm.
extra ADB command where you've got to point it to like a little pocket of information on the tablet. I forget what that command is called. IP
Okay.
address sort of routing. It generates this like little local IP address, and then from there, you
Okay.
can target your ADB commands to sideload and install APKs. So
Okay.
it takes a little bit more setup. It's not as like on an Android phone you can pull up. What I need to try is installing an Android File Explorer and seeing if
Okay.
the File Explorer can keep the
Properly map it
yeah
to the Windows
because
file system. I get it.
if the File Explorer can generate the Android permissions for installing apps, then you wouldn't have to use this ADB command to sideload. You'd be able to install directly from the File Explorer. Sorry,
Mhm.
so I'm kind of buzzing because it's like there's so many things to try on this, and at the end of all of this, it's really just been encouraging that I don't know that this is practically much different than getting a Core i5. I know all the benchmark scores are out there saying, oh, well, you need your Intel for more power and stuff.
Mhm.
But I keep seeing, like, well, if you compare this against the Core i7, and I know the Core i5 has got to be more powerful, but I don't think it's so much more power. I mean, if you're telling me it's like a 10% difference in compute power, that is negligible performance for an end user in
Oh
95%
no, yeah,
of your
absolutely.
of your
Ninety,
of your tasks.
what are you doing with Office applications, web browsing, searching for browsing the internet, all of that stuff? That doesn't tax the CPU to the level that you think. I think Chrome will probably eat up most of your RAM. That's because just
Yeah.
Chrome being
16
Chrome.
gigs of RAM is going to feel lean on Chrome.
No, no, no. But that was the other thing. I think the Pro 9 has more RAM than the 5G has more RAM than the standard model. The standard model, if I'm not mistaken, I think is like 12 gigs. This has 16.
Yeah.
Also, the accessibility of changing the hard drive. I don't know if you got a chance to open up that little port on the back. So where the SIM card or the SIM
Oh.
tray goes in, there is the drive, the 256 gig drive that comes in that you could easily
No
replace.
way.
It's like
Seriously?
it's a screw. It's like seriously, flip it over, get a SIM removal tool, pop that port. It's under your under
Hold
the
on.
kickstand.
Let me just get the keyboard back on because I don't want to put this screen down on my
No, no, no.
desk. We've got it. We've got to see
You
this.
got no, no. You got to check it out. Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Hold
It's
on.
right next to the SIM tray. And now the one thing I will say, I tried using my tablet SIM card for connecting it to the internet, and it will not work. It does require a profile, which links up to your carrier. So that means I would end up needing to download or set up an entirely separate line with T-Mobile to be able to try this on. And
Boo,
I did not
T-Mobile,
make the decision.
boo.
Well, no, no, it's not to do with nothing to do with them. It's more about like when I set up the Pixel Watch, that was
Maybe I
such a
should
pain,
do.
and I had to set up an extra line just to get the Pixel
Just
Watch
to
to
be
run on LTE.
safe.
Oh, no, no, no.
I'm just going to shut it down to be safe. I know, yeah, whether or
Oh,
not
yeah,
you
yeah,
need
yeah.
me to do
No,
that, but
I don't think you should pull the hard drive. I was just saying is
I
you
just
could
want
see
to
where
see
it is.
it.
Yeah, yeah. It's literally a screw drive away from removing. Like so, pop that up, and voila!
Oh, man.
Look at that. Guess what? Storage is right there.
Oh, that is so cool.
And it's like crazy how easy. Like they thought
That's
about this. It
amazing.
didn't used to be this way on the Pro X on the Microsoft Pro X
No.
before. It wasn't. Here, easy. You unscrew it. Literally, you could see it. It's a Phillips screw. You just
Oh,
unscrew, take that
man.
sucker out, and you're changing it and doing if you want to upgrade it.
That's awesome.
And the port is easily accessible with a SIM removal tool. It pops it open.
Yeah, I got like
And
the cheapest one I could find right
yeah,
here.
yeah, you just and it doesn't even to be that long, but it's nicely placed. When I first got it, I forgot where it was on the Pro X the Pro X model
That's
before.
awesome.
So I was like looking all around. I'm like, I see the antennas, I see the two USB-C ports. I'm like, where is that? I'm like, oh, it's under the kickstand. So yeah. So yeah, Call of Duty Mobile slow mo Joe. That's not a bad idea. I think it's true. I think the biggest thing with this would be if you're trying to play it, obviously, is the controls tablet time. If you've ever tried playing COD on tablet, on a tablet, it's not
Hmm.
the easiest thing to play because of the controls. But I'm sure we can sideload the APK and see how that runs. And even obviously, actually, I'm interested to see how Fortnite plays. If I would be able
Yeah.
to install like the Epic App Store and see if we can run games from there, or do we need to install the app from the
That's a
Google
good
Play
point.
Store? Yeah.
I haven't really even gotten into Steam and
Well, I
Epic.
mean, so
Let me put it up,
web-based
and while
should not.
we're
I was
messing
going to say
around.
web-based version should not be an issue. If you're going to use something like GeForce Now, or you're going to use
But I
something
mean, the
like
actual launcher could be problematic. So
no, I'm honestly thinking I don't think the maybe Steam will install. I don't know about the Epic installer. That's a little bit like, I mean, even getting it on the Steam Deck was a little bit more of a complicated process. You have to
yeah,
go in, you have to jump in directly within Linux and trying to set it up and have it map and remap the folder. It was like it's not a it's not an easy solution, but it's workable because you have Linux desktop in there. Here we're talking
sure.
about Windows and again Amazon App Store, and I don't know why. Oh, okay. So I'm downloading the Amazon App Store. That's taking a little bit longer because it's downloading and
Hmm.
configuring the system.
Yeah, it's got to go through and set up the Android runtime and
No,
everything
no,
too.
absolutely. I'm not going to mess with that.
Getting to that point where you can do something like actually get that APK launched and installed takes a hot second, but it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to see here Steam installer download. See if we can get it set up. I don't think it will, but we'll try. Install Steam for Windows. And is it going to do? Come on, give me. Okay, it's downloading the executable. Let's see if this runs. Say yes. Okay, this is actually going forward, man. It's not hiccup. It's not giving me a hiccup. It's installing.
Nice.
Come on. It's downloading an update, installing. It actually looks like it's running. It should be able to launch the Steam App Store, and then from there I can see if I can download one of my games, like even if it's like Rocket League or something.
Well, and I'd be curious,
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
like, because again, we've been seeing such wonderful support for Proton. The Steam Deck is uh is it's showing us that, like, the indomitability of x86 Windows in gaming isn't necessarily, um, there's room there to
Mm-hmm.
compete. Sorry, my brain is total Swiss cheese right now. It's
It's
been a long
it's
week.
it's been a
Um,
long yes. Sorry.
so if we're
Ooh.
already starting to see some alternative
Mm-hmm.
support, if we're seeing Linux gaming starting to take off and Windows on ARM, maybe there's some potential there for game developers to also say, like, hey, this is a game that will probably play well on that hardware. Because I don't think Google's version of the reverse of this is in any way, shape, or form competitive. Playing with some of the titles on Google Play Games beta,
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Threadripper with the 2080 Ti, and it took substantially longer to launch Asphalt 9 than on my
Oh.
Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV. Like, it's just not good to try and play games on. And like, again, I feel like going in the opposite direction, trying to get PC games to play in an ARM environment might
Mm-hmm.
be a little bit easier.
Good. Okay, so I got the installer installed, but I don't know why I can't remember my password. So I'm going to download the Steam app on my phone because I know that has it auto saved, and then I'll be able to log in and then configure it. No, do not launch that. It seems like it's running. It seems like it has no problem installing and letting me log in. So this is, at least at this point, I'm like, okay, this is This is cool. This is cool, Beans.
It'll be interesting to see like if it even details compatibility. Because that's another thing that gets a little wonky. Like DaVinci Resolve installed, said the
Mm-hmm.
installation was successful. It installed all of those extra little runtime and components that and drivers and things. Everything looked right, and it launches, and then it
Mm-hmm.
can't find a GPU that it
Oh,
recognizes, and that's when it crashes. So I would
okay.
imagine that you could probably get pretty far into the path of installing a game, especially with Windows saying like, no, don't worry, that we're totally compatible because it's running in some kind of emulation layer. And then when it really tries to tap the GPU,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it says, oh no, you can't play this game.
Homie, don't play that. No, I get it. I'm with you. I'm trying to get myself in. So okay, I got my code. Let me see if I can get in. Okay, 3. Mm-hmm. So on a side, okay, so here we are. Okay, Steam Store is installed. Now it's finalizing itself. Um, the other thing I really like the fact, obviously, is the keyboard, the magnetic keyboard that we get with it, with the new pen that housed directly within the keyboard. You don't have to worry about putting it, although it does magnetically connect to the side, the right side of the actual system here. Okay, so here, Steam is installed. So let's see. I'm going to try something very basic. I'm not going to try to go with anything super complicated. Let me see. What do I have that's the easiest?
Vampire Survivors.
I was going to say Undead Horde, but yeah, sure, we can do Vampire Survivors. You got it.
Undead Horde is graphically significantly heavier lifting.
You were trying to get it to install within this episode.
and
Okay, yeah, I get it. I get
and
it.
Vampire Survivors did start out as a mobile first beta. They
Oh,
haven't brought it
okay,
back
okay,
to
okay,
mobile, but
okay.
it started
It's
originally
set.
as a
It installed, and it has the green button. Play Vampire
is it
Survivors. Play
playing?
with Steam overlay
Play
enabled.
it,
Play with GPU lag fix. Should I just play
play
and
it.
skip the extra option? I'll just skip the
Yeah,
extra
just give
options.
the extra options.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with what it recommended. Synchronizing cloud stream. Come on, don't fail me. Give me some good hope. It's synchronized. It's doing
Give me a
something.
heartbeat. Stay on target.
Screen. Ooh,
Stay
wait, hold
on
on. The screen.
target.
Okay, come on, come on. So the screen went black, just to let you know here. So it looked like it's trying to load. Oh, it's loading. I see. Okay, so hold on. See, now I gotta turn.
God, I got to do this right now.
Press the start. Okay, so I'm gonna be busy for a few minutes, so you guys could keep talking. Stop.
We're gonna
Oh
turn
my
this into a
God.
game stream now, and it's just
Hey, dude, I've been
TKMI.
wanting to. Okay. Oh, dude, not only that. Okay, so it synced up my profile. So here you can see that I've been playing Vampire Survivors. I've been
Nice.
unlocking
Okay,
different
yeah, I gotta do
characters.
this. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta
So
do this.
yeah. Oh, this is cool. This is good. Okay, so on a side thing, I'm just gonna go ahead and see. Can we just confirm start? I want to get into a level. I want to actually play, even if I
Yeah,
lose. Because getting us to the menu, that was actually a miraculous. Oh,
that's
okay.
huge already.
Oh crap. Okay. You know what? Oh no. Okay. You need the pen. You need the pen. The pen is
Yeah,
your
because I
drag.
don't think it'll respond to any touchscreen commands.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Bible. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Dude, I am
Interesting. A
playing.
Bible starter?
It came up.
Not a garlic guy, huh?
No. There was no garlic right away. I went. So I'm gonna go with a fire one. When did we get fire one as an option? Oh, hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, dude, just
Oh.
you gotta wait until you get into like the bracelet
And boom, I got everything. La, la, la. Dude, this is actually working a lot better than I think. I mean, it's obviously it's a little bit weird. We're playing a game with and you're holding the pen and you're like going back and forth. Okay, come on, give me garlic. Still no garlic. Okay, let's go with armor. I'm gonna go and it's like give me a. I don't
I
know. Okay,
love
so
this so
on
much.
a this is crazy. Okay, this is straight up. By the way, I downloaded the Steam installer for Windows, not a custom
Yeah.
version, not the Android version. It just the only thing that it was having that I made a mistake is I forgot that it asks you for your Steam username, not your Steam email, and I was logging in with
Oh,
my
right.
email, and that's what it was the hiccup. I was like, once I realized I was doing that, and okay, this is really cool. Okay, so this is really really nice. I'm not gonna take too long. I'll let you do your thing. Uh, this is nice.
I let me do my thing.
Okay.
I am literally, as we speak, installing Vampire Survivors
Vampire Survivors.
on my
Okay. The
Surface
other,
also.
I want to see. I have.
If if
Okay.
if if this runs decently well when you're in end game enemies and the screen is just full, if it runs decently well, I might be able to handle our trip next week without my Steam Deck, and I'll only take the Surface Pro 9. Because let's be
Okay.
honest, I was really only gonna play Vampire Survivors on my
Survivor.
Steam Deck anyway.
That okay. So Vampire
It's
Survivor
so
carried me
addictive.
through so many hours on my flight to Berlin when I was going to when I was going to the Xiaomi trip. That carried me
Hmm.
so much. And obviously, I would like kill the battery on the Steam Deck, let it charge, take a 20-30 minute break and out, maybe whatever, come back to it and boom, back in the game, back at it, playing, playing, playing. So it was like really a lot of fun.
So
I'm
good.
even installing Stumble Guys right now just to see if Stumble Guys will run. And I think Stumble Guys should run. It's I mean, it's not super graphically demanding, but
Man,
it should
if I
start.
can even get to some of my other like also like kind of retro games
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a
No, no, absolutely.
16-bit coverage on what was the Blaster Master series, and
Stumble
I just
Guy
bring my
run.
little controller, that'd be awesome.
Stumble Guys
Hey!
runs. Okay, we now I will say though it is running warm on the back. I think the HCX the was it sorry, I keep forgetting what Microsoft called it. The Q3 no,
SQ3.
SQ3. Thank you. I was going to say the Q3.
It's
The
basically an
SQ3
8CX Gen 3 tweaked.
a little bit. Yeah, no, no, absolutely. Um but this is crazy nice. This is crazy nice. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot.
So this helps like assuage a number of my concerns and fears for
Functionality. Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, this is actually nice. Getting Steam installed and getting Steam running on this, I think for me was a very good indicator because Steam didn't bork. It didn't give me any warnings, any recommendations.
nope.
Now, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to run, Dragon Ball Fighter Z on this or even Cyberpunk 2077 for sure, but maybe I don't know. Should I even try running Apex Legends? I think that'll be maybe too demanding for the show. I don't know. There's Mortal Kombat I can try. I can try Horizon Chase Turbo. Actually, Horizon Chase Turbo may run fine. It's one of those Steam Deck apps that I have. I'll install that as well. So, long story short, it's still early days with the Pro 9 5G. The 5G connectivity, I'm going to try my best to figure out a way to get it to
Yeah.
connect. I'd love to be able to travel with the 5G on. So because that to me, it's like with the Pixel Watch, I felt like if we didn't activate the 5G connectivity on it or the LTE connectivity, especially since they sent us the LTE model, Google was nice
Yeah.
enough to send us those models. I felt like we were missing a big portion. I felt like nobody was talking about it. Most people don't activate LTE on their watches. So either way, I mean, I felt like it was nice, and so I did another little short, I think early this morning with demonstrating. It's like, hey, how do you get messages when you're away? And it's beautiful. It works so well, so seamless. It's done right. I love it. That's why I always like to get. If I can get an LTE, I
All right.
typically will pick up an LTE model.
I just gotta brag because I'm way ahead of you in Vampire Survivors. So
Oh
I'm just
crap!
gonna
He's
give
going
you
to show me how many
credit.
unlock. His will be like pages. Look at that.
So
A lot.
oh, I'm way zoomed in.
Of course, because
So I've
why would
real quick. I'm just gonna turn off my overheads. There we go.
yeah, no, I get it.
So yeah, this is what it looks like when you've hit 140 out of 140 unlocks. So
How
that's pretty
much
good.
coin do you have? Dude,
529,440.
do you
So
not
all the
buy
coins.
anything? All the coins.
At this point, there's
You
not a
don't.
whole lot left to buy. You can
Oh, because
only
you've unlocked everything. Yeah, 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 yeah. I get it.
there's in-level stuff. So I have all the secrets uncovered, 15 of 15. Now, do you want to see all the characters?
Oh my god. Yeah, I guess. Why not?
So
Oh,
here we go.
what? There are pages? I barely. No, no. Seriously, I barely have like the second row, and that to me was like an accomplishment after so
So
many
yeah,
hours of unlocking the second row. Oh my
have you made it
god.
to a kill screen yet, where the little Reaper comes
No,
out?
I haven't.
Okay.
So I typically get the best I've ever been able to do is like level 22 before
So
just dying
I hate
because
that I'm gonna do this to you here, but as a spoiler, when you finally do get to that point,
hold on,
there's
I
the
gotta make
little
your
Reaper
screen bigger because
guy.
I'm like looking at it and hold on, where is it?
And
It's
when you
this one.
figure out how to kind of kill that little Reaper guy, you can maybe play
The
as the
Reaper
little
guy.
Reaper guy. So,
Well, oh, you kidding me? So you get to be? Dang it.
yep.
Okay.
So it's pretty great.
I
It's a
no,
lot
it
of
is.
fun.
It is. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a
You're just
great,
getting
addicting
into the
game.
good stuff right now.
I'm
I'm very
barely.
jealous because
I'm.
now I've kind of maxed out almost everything. So what I'm doing now is I'm playing individual characters and then trying to just check mark
I got to download
every
it now on
map.
my G Cloud, the Logitech G Cloud as well, because the Steam Deck runs on that as well. Um,
Yeah.
oh my God. Okay. Well, actually, it runs, but it runs through GeForce Now because technically it's an
Hmm.
Android. And I want to talk a little bit also about how different the I keep wanting to call it the G Cloud. It's basically the Logitech Cloud gaming system. It's a portable gaming solution. Um,
So you also want to see something just kind of funny
sure.
when I kind of hold this up. I've put over 100 hours in Vampire Survivors.
And
Um,
you're still married. That's quite an accomplishment by
yeah,
itself,
it's
actually, if you
pretty
think about
great.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
It's a
like
game where your play cycle is about 30 minutes long. So
it
I've done
just about 20 to 30
200
minutes.
rounds of Vampire Survivors.
No,
I love
I
it.
like the fact that that's there. So I'm actually very excited to see now my Steam library actually running here. I'm gonna let it come down here. Do I finish downloading and installing the Amazon App Store? Already an Amazon customer? Yes, please log in. So this is nice. This is definitely very, very nice. Okay, so I got it. Okay, well, I'll do the Amazon store later. So very promising overall. The functionalities that
Hmm.
we get in here are so far very good. I am going to try to sideload some games, some
We've
other
got so
applications as well.
much to dig into. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
kind of daunting because it's like another laptop review where you just want to
hmm,
do a good job reviewing the laptop, but then on top
absolutely.
of that, this is very unique in how it's handling software, and I want to make sure I'm getting a good sense of not just I tried running this one program and it benchmarks 20% slower than an Intel. I really want to see like what are the challenges because there have been a few so far,
Hmm.
but if I can pick the right customer for this, do those challenges matter? And I
Yeah.
feel like that's something that I just need to spend a little bit more time playing with, trying to get a sense of it.
Yeah, no, and I think that for me is it's the biggest the experience just to kind of get everything. And like I said, I want to get LTE, sorry, LTE. I want to get the connectivity running on
Hmm.
T-Mobile so I can actually, the purpose of this obviously is the always on connected, travel ready, easy. You pull it out of your backpack, you're ready to go. It's on,
Sure.
it's there. It's that type of a solution, kind of like your smartphone, but in a PC environment.
Yeah.
Truly,
It.
not like using desktop experience, literally
Yeah.
PC experience.
It's hilarious that it is kind of like the Steam Deck for Windows. This like insta pause functionality that
It's
works
getting
okay
that.
in Windows is working better
Absolutely.
on Windows on ARM.
Yeah, yeah,
Real
yeah.
quick, we got a question here from Chop. What input controller is best to use to play Vampire Survivors? I've played almost entirely on the Steam Deck, so anything kind of traditional controllery dual analog stick I think would be fine. Have you tried playing it on anything else? Like have you tried playing it on mouse and keyboard or
No, I have it in my Steam Deck, but because I started playing it as one of the titles on the Steam Deck, it's basically been there. Now I have it on
yeah.
the Windows PC, and I'm using the pen. So the pen input is basically the
Nice.
best thing. So as you're dragging around, because it doesn't recognize touch input for the game, you just basically use the pen, drag it around, and then once you collect enough diamonds or enough diamonds,
Just
enough coins, essentially
orbs.
orbs. I guess that's the best way to say it. They're not coins. The coins are separate. Um, you're able to basically select the option and keep playing. And I think the biggest thing about it is you don't have to stay on the character. You could just drag and move your mouse to the side, and the character keeps following the
Yeah.
mouse or the pen, so you're able to at least see what you're doing. You're not actually covering anything. And you know what, overall, it the it for the few seconds I got a chance to play it, this is absolutely a fun thing to do. Like in the middle of something, you want to just have fun, pop it open, jump in, play a little bit, and go back, kind of like a regular PC. Like you'd be able to do it on any PC, and
I'm so
uh,
stoked.
it's the
Uh,
benefits.
re-
Yeah. So
Real quick, I just kind of want to shift gears. We can wrap up Microsoft talk. I have
sure.
listened to exactly 5 minutes of audio on the Surface headphones. Have you been you've got them plugged in now? Have you
I've
listened to anything else?
been
Have you been
on them since yesterday. That was the other thing. I connected them to, so I have them connected right now to the Xperia 1 Mark IV, and I have them connected to Z Fold 4. So this dual
hmm,
connection automatic. I love the fact that when it turns on, it tells you what it connected to, so you know exactly what it is.
nice? That's good.
And it tells you the battery life that's left, just like automatic. It says, oh, you have 10 hours left. You have 15 hours left. Um, for me, the biggest plus for me at least is this the ability of configuring and moving my volume in by just dialing it on the right side and controlling my ANC and my ambient sound on the left side. So easy, touch control. The button doesn't have to be too hard. You push the button, it turns off. You push the button, it turns off, turns on. It's really like easy to jump into. And again, over the years, is helping me recover a little bit from so many in-ear solutions that I've been using,
Yeah.
that I don't want to use earbuds for at least the next couple of weeks. So this is a very
I'm
nice break.
I'm wearing earbuds right now, and I'm thinking like I might just pop in the cable like you are and
I
maybe switch. I
Yeah,
know I'm
yeah,
working on another ear infection
I
from all of these
this
earbud reviews.
too many earbuds, and I just pushed out the Liberty Fours. I've had them for some time, but I had between the Liberty Fours, I have some other buds that I'm working on as well, and then I had the VR10s that I would. It's just too many back to back buds, and I can't do that many buds. And then, of course, we've been waiting. By the way, just for reference, Juan and I have been waiting to try these headphones since the laptop Go 2. So it's been some time. And these are
Yeah,
not
it's
new,
been a
obviously.
bit.
These are not new. They're not going to break any kind of embargo. These are just literally the best that Microsoft has to
Oh
offer
yeah, Jeff was even
over the
asking,
air.
were these the Surface headphones 3? Like maybe he missed. And no, these are the headphones 2.
No,
They've
no,
been
the
out for
two
a bit.
for a bit.
We're
Yeah,
finally
yeah.
just getting to spend some time with
Yes.
them. We're way behind. It's
It just
great.
feels like, we're like fully Microsoft in at this point, from the buds to the PC,
Yeah.
to the pen input. And I think we
The
also have the
window to the
small
wall.
hashtag not sponsored by Microsoft, but thank you very much. And
Nope.
no, but yeah, no. If you do if you want to plug them in, you're more power to you. I was in the process of setting up for tonight's stream, and I'm like, over the ears, they're not, and the cable's long enough. Why not go on the surface, right? Like, why not use them?
Hmm.
As opposed to, I mean, my DT770s are sitting still there, right? It's a good option. Wired, when you plug in the wired, automatically gives you an audible notification, says Bluetooth has been disabled. So you
Nice.
lose the dual sync when you go wired. And
Sure.
the TRX goes in here, the TRRX goes into your PC. So in case you want to get audio, because it does have a microphone, a little bit of a thing sitting on the side.
Jeff, you had me double checking all my Google alerts. I thought I missed the bus on that announcement. No, 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 no. I
No.
don't never feel like we're gonna break headphone news to you.
Yeah, no, it's
Jeff, I
the
think
other way
you've got that one
around.
on lock.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, no way. No, but I'm glad we
So
went with these over the earbuds, because that would have just been,
yeah,
not that the buds are bad. I'm just saying, to me, it would have been too much. But yeah, so we're getting a chance to. We'll have some more time, more conversations on this. I'm excited about this for next week. Kind of a little bit of a teaser as well for everybody in the chat. Next week's going to be a little bit of a special event.
yeah.
Your buddy and I are going to be traveling, kind of together, but not together in a kind of way. We're going to the same place, but in kind of the same thing. So next week's stream, we're not 100% sure exactly the timing of it. So it may end up being on Thursday, and may also end up being on Friday morning. I'm not sure, but we're going to
We
work it
don't
out,
know.
and we
Yeah.
will try to have a show for you guys. But it'll be an in-person show where Juan and I are at the same place, doing the show from there.
Hmm.
Maybe from a Surface Pro 9 5G. I don't know. We'll have to see.
No way to know.
No way to know till you get back with us. So for next week's show, please make sure to keep it up with us. We're going to be bringing in some amazing news and amazing content coming in, fresh, hopefully very fresh, like so fresh.
Now,
It's like a little.
speaking of so fresh, so fresh and so clean, fresh, we're already demonetized. We're not even monetized to be demonetized.
No, we go straight through that.
Speaking of something so fresh, we
Yeah,
definitely have to change gears now. We were just showing off Vampire Survivors on the Surface Pro 9.
yeah.
So obviously, there's no point in owning a Logitech because you can play Vampire Survivors
Survivors
on a
on
Surface Pro 9.
the Surface. Well, I
So
mean, there's
you're
a.
just gonna chuck that in the bin, right? And just like
I'm
throw those
I'm
paper.
gonna go ahead and just shut it down. So I think it's just like a one button there. Okay. No, I mean, so for me, this is okay. I'll say
Well,
this.
first off, we're this was the clumsiest transition yet to talk
We're
about
all,
the Logitech Cloud. This is a gaming handheld console built for cloud gaming and streaming,
absolutely.
but definitely in this new era of Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch competitors.
Yes, and I think that's the biggest thing about this solution here. Hold on, let me go back. I don't know where I am now. I'm like, I was inside of the X Cloud, and now I'm like sitting in a different terminal somewhere else. Hold on. The at the beginning when I first heard about this, I was a little bit confused as to what it was trying to do, right? Because it sells for about $350. It's not a cheap piece of hardware. It's
Mm-hmm.
powered by the Snapdragon 720, so it's technically an Android device. Really, this is no different than your
Yeah.
smartphone, like a mid-range Android smartphone with a large 7-inch display, stereo speakers, USB-C connectivity, joystick configuration, and of course, everything is built in with cloud gaming in mind. Although you can definitely install games from the App Store. The storage on this is not very high. You do have expandable storage, but the storage is really intended to be more for um, like downloading and installing streaming apps. GeForce Now works beautifully. Running GeForce Now with leveraging the power of obviously NVIDIA,
Nice.
you're able to run AAA games like Cyberpunk will run on this easily. I was playing Dragon Ball Fighter Z on this, that's one of my favorite games, just to kind of see or just to kind of get the experience in here. It does have a limitation of running one app at a time, which I find a little bit interesting. Like every time you want to launch something, it asks you, "Do you want to quit the other one and launch this?" I'll have to play a little bit more. Again, I've had this for about a day as well. Um, but what I like about it is accessing, xCloud games that you could
Yeah.
typically play, like Halo Infinite, playing Injustice 2, obviously not Vampire Survivors will run, but like Forza gaming on this, and they run really good.
Mm-hmm.
1080p, 60 frames per second, at about a 6400 milliampere battery. So it should last you pretty decent up to, they're rating it about 12
Sorry, you
hours
said
worth of gaming.
6,400.
Yeah, 6400
That's pretty good for a
for a
720.
720. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
1080, 60 frames with a 720, and you're getting a 64. Like seriously,
that's not bad.
and
Yeah.
it's not running any of the other. So you don't have any background applications running for your RF. Not basically, there's no NFC, but like there's no mobile connectivity other than Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are the only two radios. So you're definitely not taxing the system. Um, it's very light, very small. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
find a good case for it. It's not bad. I mean, I'll say this: if I had to choose between the two, I probably would still pick up my Steam Deck. I feel like it's a little bit more capable.
Yeah.
But it's a solution for somebody that wants a portable gaming solution for, let's say, their kids, for a family member that just like to play games and not necessarily having to carry with them an entire PC. The fact that it runs xCloud very nicely and the mapping is runs really good, I'm happy with that. I like that
Yeah.
functionality, and I think for leveraging what Microsoft's bringing in with xCloud, which is an amazing service. If you've never tried it, it's great for mobile gaming. Um, I like it. I think so far for me, it's more about I want to test out the battery, maybe on a trip and so on. So I'm probably going to be bringing it as well as obviously the Pro 9 with me next week because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this is a good. Again, they're intended to be for travel. I'll bring them with me. I'll sacrifice the since I can play Vampire Survivors on the PC and on this, I don't
But the other
I
thing
don't
I
have
was
to
going to
bring the Steam
ask,
Deck. Yeah.
and I've been looking at the product page because we're talking about a $350
Yeah.
gaming portable, but it does seem to be built heavily on streaming a game that's being processed somewhere else. Have you tried it with Steam Link?
So
Um,
no, I didn't get that. I didn't get that far. I
okay.
got I got the laptop.
You got it all at the same time
I
with the
got all three
Surface,
at the
and
same time. So where you were focusing on the laptop, my geeky side went straight for the gaming side. So I've been
that's
listening to music using the
hilarious.
headphones for calls and so on and everything. But I've been playing. Yeah, I've been basically focusing on XCloud and NVIDIA GeForce. I wanted to get those type of things experienced going in there because it doesn't have an attachment. There's no desktop mode. This is running Android 11
Hmm.
with a custom UI GUI. You can run it in tablet mode
Interesting.
and use it like that. But I think it runs better when you run it in the Logitech, the I guess the G Cloud
Because
interface.
it looks like any sort of PlayStation or Xbox
Hmm.
style
Actually,
gaming
it has a
UI.
lot of inspiration from Xbox. The controls, the handle, just the way it feels like in the back. It looks like a Microsoft controller, like the
Yeah,
button
yeah, it
configuration.
does.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's
totally
very
does.
heavily inspired by Microsoft. Um, it's just that obviously you need to remember that even though it's Android, it still has custom configurations in there, so mapping and everything. So far,
So
pretty happy.
probably not great if we were trying to natively play some of the beefier console ports. But have you?
Yeah,
Are you? I have to believe this would be solid for something like Super Nintendo emulation or something like that.
it should
Like
be able to
should
handle
be.
it. I don't know how the frame rate's going to be, but I definitely that'll be my next thing to do. Install some of the emulators and run some of the old ports and see how those work. The concern though is the storage. It only has, I think it was like, I want to say 64 gigs. It's very
But
limited in
you
storage.
could put your ROMs on an SD card.
That's the only place to put your ROMs. No. But what I meant to say is,
Right.
if you try to download too many apps, or try to, because it
Yeah.
still
Oh,
has
for sure.
Gmail, it still has like it has the standard apps. You can run Chrome, you can watch movies on this, you can run Netflix on web-based Netflix on. It's not an issue. It's more about what it's for. This is meant to be
Right.
a gaming solution, right? It's a gaming, it's a travel-ready gaming experience for cloud-based games. But definitely, if you want to be able to run the emulation on this, it should be pretty. I mean, the 720G is, again, it's a gaming processor. It's intended to be optimized for this,
Yeah.
and we don't have a lot of other background processes that are going to kill our battery as much. So I like the fact that it runs. I don't know why it only runs one app at a time. That makes me feel like, why does it always have to close the other one? But I think it's also because of I think we only have like either 4 or 6 gigs of RAM. It's limited in
Yeah.
RAM. It's not very.
Well,
It's not
but again,
built with like spec'd up.
it
It's
does.
built for battery
So
life.
we've gotten a couple comments. Like, "Hey, I think this
Sure, sure.
seems a little expensive for what it is,"
Yeah, yeah.
or again, it's about properly communicating that this is. I don't know how many game systems Logitech has ever made. Doesn't seem like they've made very many.
No, no.
So obviously, we're talking about a very early entry into this market from a company that hasn't made a lot of this kind of stuff in the past.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's not to excuse a higher price point because it's not much more money to start looking at Nintendo's and well,
Well,
it's the starting price of a Nintendo Switch.
it is,
So,
but if we have to pull, let's start pulling some of the comparisons, because it does technically feature some very similar
mhm,
specs as a mobile device. This is a mid-range processor, a 720G smartphone that if you want to
yeah,
buy right now on the market, it's around $500. It's not going to be in the 700, 720. We're not talking 765. The RAM's limited again, but it's running a 7-inch display at 1080p with 60 frames per second. It has a large battery. So from a tablet standpoint, it's right around the price point of what a tablet should be. And it's a little bit higher because it kind of gives you if you think about buying an extra controller that runs about 100, like let's say the Razer Kishi, that's about
mhm,
$100. Like you have to strap around the tablet. So put all the components together, make it function correctly, and of course supported. I think it's not a
yeah,
bad solution. I think if you had to do it yourself, you spend more money and you wouldn't get the form factor. This really leverages what I got excited last year at the Qualcomm Tech Summit, where they showed us the concept of what the new Razer gaming system that just got announced. I think was it a couple of weeks ago at RazerCon. And the reality is, I mean, this could be very similar to what we see with the Razer system that's going to come out. I think later this year or early next year. I think they're just doing pre-order reservations right now. The
mhm,
um, the form factor is nice. It's small. It's much smaller than a Steam Deck. This is definitely much smaller. Literally feels like it literally feels like if you had the Nexus 7, it literally is like a Nexus 7 with the controllers on this. I
but
don't know why the
it does look just a little bit better sculpted than a
yeah,
Nintendo Switch because they don't have the Joy-Con pop-off design.
absolutely.
But I again, I think there's still that kind of crossover for a lot of consumers. They're not going to have the data or the infrastructure to do cloud, obviously. obviously you're going to want something that installs and stores games locally. One of the
Absolutely.
things that I would love for you to try, because this is the last thing that I don't know I've seen sort of properly answered, is if you were to locally play a game on a Steam Deck
Hmm.
versus streaming a game on something like that, Logitech Cloud,
So you're
would
thinking of
that deliver better battery life? I have to believe, like, say you were playing a game like I did that comparison on an Android phone playing Alien Isolation versus my
oh,
Steam Deck
yeah, I
playing
should
Alien
download Alien
Isolation.
Isolation on the I
And
so I loaded Undead Horde.
good
That's just
man,
I
I
so
still
that's
can't wait.
insta
I'm waiting for their sequel.
the
The
sequel,
sequel looks
yes.
awesome. But the reason why I wanted to show that was your performance per watt rendering the game locally on both Android and the Steam Deck. The Steam
Hmm.
Deck is significantly more powerful, but in maintaining the same frame rate, the Android solution was a higher performance per watt. I
Yeah, yeah.
have to believe the advantage here would be you're taxing your radios, you're taxing your screen,
Hmm.
but even if you are really leveraging the power of a Snapdragon 720, you're not hitting nearly as much power draw as you are that
Oh,
little AMD chip in the Steam
no,
Deck. So
no, no, no,
so the
absolutely.
the
Yeah,
the trade-off is, do you have good data? No, get a Nintendo, get a Steam Deck. If
yeah,
you
yeah.
have good data, you should be able to game significantly longer out in the field if you're not
If all
rendering
you're
all of
doing,
those
yeah, if
graphics
all you're
on the
doing is
device.
streaming, yeah, if you're streaming the content and it is basically taxing your Wi-Fi radio, because it's not going to tax your modem. There's no
Right.
LTE, no 5G modem to connect to. So from a Wi-Fi solution, even your smartphone. So if you've ever tried testing this out on an Android device, if you turn off you turn on your phone on airplane mode and you turn on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and you just use your phone with the modem turned off, your battery life is 9 times longer because the phone doesn't have
Yeah.
it's not taxed.
Yeah.
Leveraging that, as you're saying, running cloud-based services where most of the heavy lifting is done off device, meaning you're not taxing the GPU, you're not taxing the system the way it normally. It's no more than streaming a video off Netflix to a certain point with a much faster up and down connectivity
For
for
sure.
input configuration. You're right. Now, the good thing is that you can run local games. You're limited with size, and you do need to leverage having your libraries move to the SD card. If the game does not allow you, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But like emulation shouldn't be an issue. But again, Undead Horde for me installed very nicely, and to me it's a good benchmark. And if it plays well, it plays very much like the Steam Deck, which is because of the
Hmm.
controllers. The mapping is right there
Yeah.
at the same time.
It's so
The
good.
buttons are exactly the same, so I love that function. And I, like I said, I want to try different options in there, but I will definitely try Alien Isolation and download that as well, just to see how it runs. If it will actually run and you're able to see what you're doing, like we've tested it. You've tested on
Oh
different
yeah.
devices where like it'll boot, but it's a frozen
Right.
frame that you're just
Um, so
passing through.
yeah, and especially on some of the media techs,
Yeah.
the developers have done a pretty good job of updating it for most of the premium tier Snapdragon 800 SoCs. So now
Mm,
Alien Isolation is running really well on 865s,
mhm.
888s, and 8 Gen 1s.
Nice. Yeah.
It's still like I still have rainbow legs on one of the dimensities. Have you ever seen
Mhm.
that where it's like it's not rendering the player character correctly, so it looks like this weird like
Weird mishmash.
cyber
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
T2 liquid
the
metal.
the pixelation, and it's like a
Yeah,
draw. Yeah, yeah,
it's all messed up.
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
That's mostly gone away on premium tier Snapdragons. So if you don't mind me giving you the homework, what I would love to see
Yes, sir.
is the like kind of a battery life test on and again, as long as it's any game that can kind of be compared on three different versions where it's being rendered locally on a Steam Deck, it's
Mhm.
being streamed on a Steam Deck, and then it's also being streamed to the Logitech. Because my hypothesis would be worst battery life is obviously rendering
On the sense.
locally on the Steam Deck. Best
Absolutely.
battery life should be on the Logitech, with the streaming Steam Deck being
Team there.
somewhere better, but sort of in the middle of
I'm
those
thinking
three
it
player
may be better
scenarios.
in the performance, but I don't think it'll beat it in battery life because we're running a 7 series processor and the fact that we have a large battery. I think the G series should, in theory, on paper at least, should outperform battery life. Meaning, even
Yeah,
though it may not get the
that's
performance,
my hypothesis.
it'll
Yeah.
last longer, quite a bit longer than your average Joe.
But
Or
again,
gamer.
I kind of want to say, this is something that can matter to the right consumer.
Yeah,
Do you want the absolute longest playtime? That is a particular kind of product.
yeah,
Are you willing to make a compromise on playtime and you can do streaming or rendering locally, and then a Steam Deck becomes a better
way more.
buy?
Oh,
But
absolutely.
my guess is that
It,
on a 720p screen powering all the guts of the Steam Deck, even if you're streaming the game, you're not going to improve the battery life enough to match what the Logitech can do similarly streaming a game.
yeah, I think so. And not only that, the Logitech has a 1080p resolution display, so it's slightly
Right.
higher to refresh.
That's
Yeah,
why I mentioned the screen resolution of the
resolution.
Steam Deck.
No, no, I
It's the
agree.
same reason why I was saying, like, hey, I've got this 120 hertz or 144 hertz 1080p OLED in my phone, and a Nintendo Switch. I mean, it looks nice, but our phone screens look better.
Oh, absolutely. No, no.
So
The solution. I think the resolution between the two is won't be as noticeable depending on the titles that you're playing, obviously, and what you're streaming.
oh, I
Um,
can see all the pixels, TK. Thank you. That's
you
you don't have to try and dumb things
the
down for
bring
me.
it down. No,
Yeah.
so this has a spot. I think it's a solution. I don't know if it's going to be as popular as the Steam Deck. It was touted as to be
No.
the Steam Deck competitor, and I feel like it's not. It's a
No.
step. In my opinion, I would look at it as the Steam Deck is a step above what the G Cloud is offering us. The G Cloud is really leveraging cloud-based gaming, so it doesn't really do a lot of. Well, I mean, it can run locally based games, but it's not really designed for that. It's intended to be sold to use with like xCloud and GeForce Now or any basically streaming type of a solution because it's a 720 processor. It'll play
Yeah.
games. It'll get you the game that you want to play. I definitely, I'm not gonna lie, I am definitely installing Call of Duty and PUBG Mobile just to see how they play. Although I will probably need to play a little bit with the mapping because they're not configured to play with this. So the story is the Steam Deck still holds its own, even though it's about a year old. It still holds its own, and it still does a lot more like a PC than it does
Mhm.
than what the G Cloud is trying to do. It's the G Cloud is literally, it's for the most part a very good combination of an Android tablet with controllers, customization, the UI element, and leveraging cloud services. I think it does that job well. I don't know how many people will be interested. I think this would be maybe a more of a better competitor to what we see from Razer coming up later this year, because I think that's what Razer's doing on
Yeah.
their side as well. They're leveraging cloud-based gaming, or
Yeah,
like
totally.
5G connectivity with Verizon. I think they're also selling the Wi-Fi model on their own side, but it's intended to be a mobile gaming solution. The version of the system that I saw last year when I was at the summit with Qualcomm was a very different device. That was not what they what we're seeing right now from Verizon and from Razer. What Verizon
Right.
are doing, I think this is more of bringing back the Razer phone. Like this could be the Razer Phone 3 in a new solution. I got so much when I saw when I saw the rectangular shape. I had like I had Robin flashbacks, and I'm having Razer
Right.
Phone 2 flashbacks. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I'm like, okay, great. This is really good.
Have you ever just dug out the Razer Phone 2 like
It's right
recently?
there.
Because
It
I still
I
have
haven't.
mine. Yeah, mine's
No, no,
over there
no.
on the side. But have you like just
Played with
pulled it
it.
out in a while? Like
I haven't
it's
charged it for I think maybe a couple of months. I did boot it up a couple of months ago to see if
mm,
it had any updates, but I think if I'm not mistaken, it's still stuck on Android 10. It never left Android
oh
10 land, so it's slowly kind of like going to be
yeah, that's
expiring
true.
out of its own. Um, this runs Android 11. It's not running Android 12 yet. So not to say that I'm waiting for Android 11 or 12. As long as it's able to as long as it's compatible with the games that I want to download, it's going to be fine. You're not you're not using this to like I want the latest, Android
For
13
sure.
version pulled down. You don't even have access to the notification shit unless you turn on the tablet mode. And it did have a
Right.
couple of updates. So overall, sound seems pretty decent. Headphone jack, SD card. I did not try to see if it actually supports video out yet. That was going to be my next thing. I didn't get a chance to check that out, but I think that I hope it does. I don't know. And I want to say I normally would have been able to test this out right now, but I took out the HDMI cable from my current setup here on my last trip to Germany, which for the
Fair.
gentleman that was asking me before, Germany was great. I was there for barely 24 hours, but it was great. I was I was like, it was
Uh,
my that last trip to
best
Germany.
24 hour, 22 hours of my international traveling.
I will say absolutely. I hung out with a lot of cool people, a lot of friends, a lot of people I haven't seen for some time, but it was short lived. And I literally, like, I landed the first day I landed, it was right after breakfast. So I got into the hotel and I was like, "Hey, is breakfast still being served?" He's like, "Yeah, can I just go?" He's like, "Yeah." So I literally got to the hotel, checked in, went and had breakfast, and went to the event. Next morning, had breakfast and came back home. It was
That's
like
awesome.
it's like, yeah, I was like, I didn't even have enough time to say smells good after the rain. Like, it wasn't that like that. So, but either way,
I
long
love
story.
the smell of Germany for 20 hours.
Dude, I've been to Germany 2 times in the last 2 months, and I've been meaning to get, I wanted to get, like, a doner kebab from there. Never once have I every time I get there, by the time I remember I was supposed to get the doner kebab, I already left.
Hmm.
Like, huh?
I mean, at
Um,
least did you get to scarf like a currywurst or anything like that?
Not even, no, when
Dude.
the last trip we had some, what's it called? East African food from Sudan, and
That can be fun.
Pakistani food. No, no, it was the food was absolutely fantastic, but it wasn't German food. All I gotta say, I was in Germany, but it did not have German food. I do love their breakfast. The hotel breakfasts in Europe are fantastic. Between the pretzel bread and the salmon and their cheeses and the omelet
Yeah.
bar. Anyways, I'm making myself hungry at this point.
Yeah. Kind of. Same.
I just, but yeah, no. So, but keeping that in mind, we'll have more content on that. I shot a little bit of a reel unboxing it. I put that out just kind of get. Again, very excited. A lot of cool new things, but I'm also kind of on a backlog with my home's going through some constructions the last couple of weeks, so I've had so
Hmm.
much noise and it's been tough. It's starting to finish, and we're almost at the end, and so we'll have to see how that goes. Not to take too much of a segue, I do want to talk a little bit about the Pixel Watch. Since
Yeah.
you finally put out your content on that, I put mine out last Sunday, last
Hmm.
weekend. I thought it was going to be Friday, but it turned out to be Saturday. Um, so maybe let's say this: what are your brief thoughts, obviously not giving away your video or anything like that, on the Pixel Watch and overall, how do you like it after using it for a few weeks?
I like it a lot.
Hmm.
I'm not wearing it. I'm back on my Tick watch because I kind
Hmm.
of like the battery better. Um, from our conversation last week, I kind of feel like I predicted what some of my other complaints would be. My biggest concern isn't will another smartwatch fan be able to use this if you've used any Apple Watch or Wear OS watch in the past? It's pretty seamless. Like
Hmm.
it does what it claims to do and it does it very well. And none of the
Absolutely.
tech gotchas like, oh, but it's a first gen product or the Samsung SoC. I've got like 4 or 5 comments from pedantic nerds on my YouTube channel like, it's too much money for an old SoC. And like, I can't care. I mean, like, tell me what product with a newer SoC handles like this kind of battery life and runtime and performance better, because
Hmm.
there isn't one. So that really wasn't ever the concern. Oh, but it
Yeah.
should be more efficient. Well, then show me something that's more efficient because an Apple Watch still gets about the same amount of battery life, maybe less.
Yeah.
So those kinds of complaints haven't really held. My biggest concern, it's still my biggest concern, is the person who looks at the Google Watch page on the Google store
Hmm.
and sees all of these Fitbits,
I was gonna
and then
say.
also sees the most expensive item is this Pixel Watch with Fitbit software. And they think, I want the nicest version of the fitness tracking that I currently do. I'm going to buy the most expensive Google Watch. And you go from like 5 days of battery life on your Fitbit to a single solitary day of battery
27
life on your
27
Pixel
hours
Watch.
if you are lucky. Yes.
Yeah, and like, and that's 27 hours. Probably not if you're tracking a workout with GPS.
No, and you're not
I
using
definitely have
always
not
on
hit
display
that.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely not with an always on display. So when
that's a
I
different
can
story.
comfortably run for 48 hours on a Tick watch with GPS fitness tracking for about an hour a day. I, I feel like this is really claustrophobic on the Pixel Watch. The small size hasn't bothered me. The screen is about the same size as the Tick Watch E3, and it's a
Actually,
little
surprising.
small, but
It
it's
yeah
been fine. Like controls are nicely laid out, and there's not as
yeah.
much wasted space as there is on the Apple Watch. So like
hmm
when you go to control settings, like I'm scrolling more in an annoying way to get through my Apple Watch than I am on the Pixel Watch. So all of that stuff has been fine. It really just comes down to me like who do I think is most likely to give this a try? And I think your built-in consumer, the built-in target audience member for this watch is likely to be disappointed by that kind of runtime. That's my biggest concern.
It is.
Outside of that, the watch has been a great example of Wear OS on a circular watch face. It's been a joy. It really has been a fun watch to use.
Yeah, I would say uh, I pretty much kind of like I'm not gonna say I copied the sentiment there. I think the overall performance for me was on point. I never had a stutter. I never had an issue. I like the crown functionality of scrolling. It adds an extra function into it where it makes it simpler. Not having to do 20 minutes. You're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I live with that. I've used those. I've used the spinny thing before. Um, that part was very nice.
I too am familiar with spinny things.
Yes, crowns are very nice.
A
They spin.
rumph.
The I think so for me, what I feel like, yes, there is going to be that consumer, especially because if you do go to the Google store. Now, this isn't present if you go to Amazon, you go to Best Buy, and they don't try to marry Fitbit with it. But on the Google store or even on the Fitbit store, if you go to their website, it's listed and it's put together alongside Fitbits. I'm not
Hmm.
saying that it's not a Fitbit at its core. It's a collaboration between the two. What I looked at it and what I was trying to basically explain the conversation is this is for somebody that likes smartwatches, but
Hmm.
has always been interested in to see what Fitbit does because they've heard of how Fitbit is, but they don't have the ability of leveraging that community that Fitbit does. Because that was the biggest thing. My wife
But
used a
oh, sorry.
Versa. No, no. My wife was on Fitbits for the longest time.
Hmm.
It took me quite a bit of convincing to get her to switch over to the TicWatch E, to lever it, to
Right.
go over to Android and to go over to, utilizing Google services and so on. I
Same.
feel like the Pixel Watch right now for me would be the perfect combination of what she loved about Fitbit and what Android is able to offer with smart functionalities that she likes. The battery life is the con. That was my thing. I think it's the
Yeah.
limitation of a 289 or 297 milliamp hour battery in here is very small, and I understand why. It's a small form factor. That's why I was hoping for at some point maybe if we get a 44 millimeter version that would give us not just a bigger
Yeah.
display but a bigger footprint for battery.
But
I
as soon as we talk about bigger, I know my wife is out of the conversation. She
no no
doesn't want that,
absolutely
you know?
exactly
So again,
for what this
for
does.
people complaining about the Pixel Watch being too small, it's like you're forgetting that there's at least 60% of the population that has smaller wrists than you
I,
do.
Absolutely,
And
and I think that's the
like
biggest thing.
they
Yeah, yeah.
built this, I think, for a much broader consumer base that we're looking at crossover devices, fitness trackers, and smartwatches. And I
Absolutely.
think they made the right play. If you're only going to launch one and one size, I think they made a better play launching the more feminine friendly
Yeah.
version
No,
of
no,
this.
and
I
it
think it
actually
was the
doesn't
right
look.
step.
I'm not gonna say that it looks bad on my wrist. For me, it was just more. I felt like it was like in the just general usage. I felt like it was small. It just almost looked like I
Hmm.
feel like it's not there. I like the functions. I like the design. I also like the overall performance on the OS. It's very well optimized, very well balanced. No stuttering, no jitter.
Yeah.
Um, and again, it does Fitbit very well, and it does Android very well because I was able to run my Tesla app, and I'm able to
Yeah.
respond to text messages. All of the stuff, all the smart functionalities that you get out of Android are here at the price of the battery. But again, from what you're getting here, realistically, it's a common ground that we just didn't have before.
Yeah.
And for that matter, I feel like it's a great watch. You just
For
have
sure.
to. The main thing I told him, I said, just don't turn on the always on display. If you want LTE, keep that as a backup, because if you have it as a backup, it works perfectly fine. If you want to
Yeah.
go out for a run for about a half hour to an hour, whatever, using the LTE connectivity, you're going to lose 10% of battery, but you know that
Yeah.
going into it,
For
and
sure.
then come back and charge it. It's like you said, the Apple Watch. But sorry, and then you can go back to your.
No,
I hope you can. I didn't go too long.
no. You're totally fine. It's an interesting, because I feel like I can't even really finish a traditional review with a conclusion. I'm having a harder and harder time trying to articulate what I think might be important to potential consumers for this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not a techie focused gadget. I
Mm-mm.
feel Samsung probably has the better solution there. If you want to
Yeah.
go boutique, Google is too big and broad. They're making a mainstream mass market kind of product, and
Yeah.
I mean, like, you would want to instead look at Fossil and Mobvoi for
Mm-hmm.
TIC watches. Um, the last thing that I can kind of point to, and I don't even know. I mentioned this in my video, and I genuinely do not know anymore how many people are going to care about something like this. But I believe it's the only phone agnostic smartwatch with ECG. You can't use ECG on an Apple Watch
No.
unless the Apple Watch is paired to an iPhone. I can't
Yeah.
even pair the Apple Watch to an iPad. I still desperately wish I could use an iPad mini as a phone. I want that. And Apple won't give that to me, and I can't combine my Apple Watch with any other Apple products.
How dare
Samsung,
you use Apple products in the
and
wrong
want to
manner?
do
Do
something
things
different with them.
outside.
I want to
Yeah.
think different with my Apple products, and Apple won't let me.
Tim Cook would be upset.
Tim
No.
Apple is so, he was so upset at that admission from me. He couldn't even smile when he was at that car race waving the flag, the checker flag. He was just like, Juan is demoralizing me. He's such a meanie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Tim Apple absolutely keeps up with all of my commentary.
Yeah.
But Samsung, you get
He's on glowing
ECG when you're
rectangles. I don't
connected
know if you've seen
to.
his comments lately.
Yeah, he's
He,
all over the place.
he's the one downvoting the videos. So.
So Samsung, you need to have a Galaxy phone, or you need to trust that you can use a patched health app, which
Mhm.
I'm sure is fine, but I don't trust health tracking data to
Have a
potentially
patch.
compromised software.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Google might have the only solution. You can use the ECG free from a Pixel. You don't
Yeah.
have to use a Pixel Watch with a Pixel phone and still
No.
have the full
I
functionality
I I had it
of the
running
Pixel
on
Watch.
my Samsung Z Fold 4. Um, there was a little bit of a, like, trying to get the Pixel Watch activated was also a little bit of a
Oh,
weird
sure.
situation.
I'm not saying that's seamless, but
Yeah.
compared to the complete functionality of a Galaxy Watch being locked to a Galaxy phone, for the teething pains in setting up the Pixel Watch on another phone, at least you still,
You have a
I don't
better
think there's
option.
any feature
No.
compromise. I don't think anything's
Oh, no, no,
locked
no.
down.
All the functionalities work. It's and I think, as we said it before, the ECG is a function that you actually have to purposely look for. It does not do it automatically. It runs very
Sure.
nicely. I haven't had any issues running it any time. I think the for me, the perfect customer for this smartwatch would be a Pixel owner. It's a person that
Oh,
loves Pixel.
I
That
think
is,
so,
yeah. I think it's
but
from that ecosystem. It's a natural recommendation. But taking
but
that
it's the
out, it
thing
becomes
that
a
I
little
like
bit of a
about
conversation.
Pixel Buds and Pixel Watch.
Hmm.
You're not limited by
No,
that.
no, no, no. You are
Whereas
not.
if I get Galaxy Buds, I don't have high res streaming unless I pair it to a Galaxy phone. If I have a
Yeah,
Galaxy Watch,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't use the ECG if I ever decide to switch my phone
Samsung
to
is
a
learning,
non-Samsung
is copying Apple verbatim at this point, locking
in
in
things that aren't
ecosystem.
super great. So
No,
I understand, because Michael Peppertech brings up what is a very prescient point. Part of the
yeah,
limitations with the OEM watches are FCC and other regulations available internationally. Availability internationally limits what Apple and Samsung are allowed to do, hence Pixel Watch limited availability. Terms of service limitations, you agree to allowing sensors for specific phones' connections to the watch as well. It's why they require you to wipe and reconnect when switching phones from Sam to Sam.
hmm,
But here's part of the issue. We can
yeah. Sorry,
acknowledge
that's
that
the
there
other one.
are likely FCC and FDA
Hmm.
regulatory policies in place. My wife has some durable medical equipment. I've got some medical equipment. When you look at how the FCC and the FDA approve medical apps for certain phones, those
Hmm.
are barriers, those are hurdles
Yeah.
to climb. To say something is FDA certified, to be a medical tracking device with something like ECG takes a
Hmm.
lot of takes a lot of effort to pass those regulatory hurdles. So Samsung didn't do that with their health app for other phones.
Yeah.
Google has done that with their Fitbit software so
Well,
that it
because Fitbit
works
existed. Yeah, but that's the
with
thing.
other phones.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so Fitbit did a lot of that work ahead in Avast, and Google leveraged that all of that.
Yeah.
So we have to give
So
the credit to why
So
Google.
Samsung is
Yeah,
looking at the smartwatch purchase as being part of an accessory purchase only for their ecosystem, where Google is already leveraging their Fitbit acquisition to make sure that this remains a broad and open device.
yeah,
So again, we can say yes, there are some regulatory actions at play, but if Samsung really wanted you to be able to use one of their products to their fullest, they would do the extra legwork to say the Samsung Health app, regardless of what phone and platform it might be operated on, is going to include this functionality. And
yeah.
Samsung has not
No,
approached the FDA for that kind of certification. So again, I don't know how much that's going to matter to people, but that's a Samsung thing. That's not a regulatory thing. That's not an FDA thing. That's Samsung not doing the last step of work that you get to benefit from if you have a Pixel Watch and you decide to use your Pixel Watch with a non-Pixel phone.
I just got your text message, but
About wanting to start the show. I was
yeah,
in the back. I was
I
in the room for like a solid 4 minutes, just
I
watching you
did.
play around on your Surface Pro 9, and I was
Why did? Yeah,
just watching my buddy, just enjoying a piece of gadgetry. It's
like
awesome.
should I even say I'm here? Should I even bother? No, like I'm with you. I think overall, yeah, it's an interesting. I will say this: it was a pleasure to use. For me, the size was something that kind of got me at the end of it. At the end, when I started overall, after about a couple weeks of using it, going in and out, transitioning, and I'm transitioning over from switching over to the Xperia One Mark IV. Um,
Hmm.
in the middle of
Same.
having it setting, yeah. Which, by the way, we need to start doing this again. Where is my
Oh,
Xperia?
oh, oh, yeah. We this week on Xperia Watch,
Yeah.
do
Oh,
we have
great.
Android
Android 13.
13?
I checked early this morning. It did not show up.
No, I don't.
And
I
and
oh, I did just get an app update for support though.
okay, I
So
do
there you
not know
go.
where my. Okay, this is me really failing. I will say though, my Oppo Find N, the foldable, got Android
Yeah.
13. I was like,
Nice.
"What?" Yeah, because it was on Android. So because it was a China-only device, it was carried on Android 11 for quite some time. It never got
Hmm.
Android 12. So I was like,
Good.
okay, and then when I got the originally hands-on with the Android 13 built on the Find X5 Pro,
Hmm.
they mentioned or they hinted saying that Android 13 could be coming to the Find N, but just no word. And then in all the social media and everything, they only talk about the international models, not the China model. So a
Nice.
couple of days ago, I'm like, let me fire it up. No update. And then I checked the option where it says trial version. Although it's supposed to be a trial version, the official version of Android 13 was sitting in the trial beta, the trial queue. So I think they have it on the wrong server somewhere. Long
Sure.
story
But
short,
it's
it's
here now.
installed. It's installed. It's running. So
And
there we
again,
have it.
let's throw the shout out to Oppo because, like the Surface Duos, skipping the early teething pains of Android 12 was
Absolutely.
absolutely the right
It
play.
was such a good move. They kept supporting Android 11. They kept pushing out security patch updates
Yup.
and updates to the system. And what I really loved about it is going from 11 to 13. It did not nuke my Google Play services, so my Google Play Store still
Hmm.
runs because I had it installed on the early version. So transitioning over, it didn't wipe any of my data, and Google Play Store runs perfectly fine. So yeah, updates, everything. A new life into a foldable is always appreciated. I think that's the biggest thing for me. So yeah, shout out to Oppo. Thank you very much. Can't wait to hear and see what else is coming up. I think for me the biggest thing right now is I want to see some of their concepts. I want to see some of their that rollable that they talked about. You know what I mean? Like the one that came out, the Oppo, I think was it
Hmm.
the X 2021 that
Yeah.
went everywhere except for the US for some reason. But yeah, so long story short, very excited, and I'm happy again. Hopefully, the Xperia will get it. Although, if history says if history plays out the same way, we will be the last region to get Android
Oh,
13 on our Xperia One Mark IV,
totally.
and I think that's what happened last two
And we're
generations,
gonna
right?
keep plugging
We'll get it. We'll get
away.
it in
Every
January.
week we'll,
We'll
oh, let's
check. Yeah,
try
I know.
again.
This week on Xperia Watch.
On
No. Okay.
Xperia Watch. Do the guys have Android 13 on
13,
their
yeah.
Xperias on Xperia Watch?
Back for season 3. Will it be or will it not be? Yeah.
Season 1 Mark 4.
4.
Because it's
So
an Xperia. You can't just have season 4.
no.
It'd have
So
to be.
this is weird. The Surface, so the Surface headphones to announce what device is connected to all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I connected it to my Xperia One Mark IV first. So it reads it
Hmm.
connected to Xperia One Ive. I'm like, what? It doesn't
Johnny Ive is in your
Johnny
ears
Ive.
right
I'm like,
now.
what? And then of course default 4. I'm like, okay, but yeah, I gotta change the name of the phone. It's
So
just
wait a minute. Wait a
Ive.
minute. You don't
One Ive.
have your Surface headphones connected to your Surface tablet?
I didn't get so that's the thing. The headphones and the sorry and the cloud delivered before the Surface. So I got them and I'm like, okay, great. Let me turn it on. So I turned on my
Oh.
Xperia, and for some reason my Xperia it's having a hard time with the Surface app. So I download the Surface app. I can
Oh,
connect
okay.
the headphones to the phone, but the Surface app can never find the headphones. So I'm like, okay, let me try it on another phone. So I picked up the Fold and I connected it, and boom, it works. So it connected to both phones right away. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yes, it needs to be connected to the Surface laptop as well as the G Cloud. But I think it's my initial instinct was I wanted to try the dials. I wanted because I remember enjoying so much that little brief demo that we got with them during
Yeah.
the trailer tour. It's a trail. It was a trailer. I'm not trying to say it's a trailer thing. It was a trailer at the time where we went in there. And yeah, no, everything is so nice. The ability of controlling how much ANC or how much you want to be able to flip to the other side,
Hmm.
amplify the external audio on device is like really it changes the experience entirely. The audio is really good. We have aptX in here. So
Hmm.
24-bit, 44 kilohertz, it's going to play pretty well. But it's more about for me was that I don't have to basically, press and hold and do whatever. No, I just want to back and forth. And if I plug in the headphones, Bluetooth gets turned off, and I'm using them straight with the PC. It's easy. So, but yeah, it will be connected. It's- it will be connected.
Is it
Uh,
just two device, or can it be
I think it's
multiple?
multi-point is always two.
Okay.
But I don't quote me on. Well, hold on.
I'll
I
be
don't think
playing
it's on
around
the
with them
box.
a bit more. I
Yeah,
connected them
yeah,
to my Surface, and then I had to nuke my Surface.
yeah,
So,
yeah. We were talking about that. Hold on. So let me see here. Multi-point.
and then I think
Windows
what I'll end up doing
10.
is pairing to the Surface Laptop Go 2
Yes.
when we're done with this Surface Pro.
True, yeah, because for me at least, the Pro is a timed loaner.
Same.
But yeah. Hey, at least we got a chance to play with it. That to me is still
Mm,
like a big, and then we get a chance to travel with it, which is also the big test for it. It's supposed to
it's
be a travel
neat.
solution. It is. Um, but yeah, no, I think overall for me, I'm still trying to finish off a lot of my stuff, my backlog. But I think for the next week or so, I have a really nice set of microphones from Saramonic that I need to push out a video for. But I also kind of need to start putting out some stuff on the Pixel 7 Pro. Um, very like I feel like I know the phone now. It's like I've lived with it for 3 weeks. I've gone
Yeah.
through a couple of software updates, so it's more of that lived-in experience now than pre-production software on the on final hardware kind of thing. Um, but yeah, no, seriously, I'll say this: the zoom camera on or the telephoto camera on the 7 Pro for me has been an absolute
It's
winner.
been good. Yeah.
Main camera, of course, as usual, both front and back. I will say that the front facing, although it shoots 4K 60, it's not as good as 4K 60 from the main camera in the
Oh
back.
yeah.
It'll
But
never
it's
be,
still it's
but
still. I mean, it is
it
a
it's
selfie
good.
camera.
No, no, no,
Again,
absolutely.
I feel it's really special to point out. Like, I
4K
think
60
this is
across.
the only phone that not only has 4K 60 all across, but then can also switch between all the rear lenses when shooting 4K 60.
So
So
helpful when
handy.
when we're out there and I'm watching Omar swim at his swim meets, because typically parents are not sitting at the same level as where the kids are, right? So
Yeah.
he's sitting all the other side on the other side of the pool, and I'm trying to capture his dive. I jump into the telephoto, and then as he's getting closer to me, I jump in wider, 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 and as he
Mhm.
goes away, I go do back in. So like, because
So good.
my wife's video is all in one focal length. It's just sitting in the 24, the
Oh
35.
man,
Right?
this is gonna
So it's
be
like
like the
he goes
total
from like
tech snot. Oh,
tiny, 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 then he shows up big, and
oh,
then he goes back to tiny,
all
tiny,
your
tiny.
videos all in one focal length. Oh, oh, I'm so grossed out. Oh no.
You're laughing. I actually had to point it out. I'm just kidding. It it's to me, for everyday use and everything on this, I'm
Yeah.
happy with what the Pixel 7 Pro has brought us. For me, it's a
Hmm.
definite upgrade from what I got last year with the Pixel 6 Pro, and I enjoyed everything that the 7 Pro is
Yeah.
bringing us. Battery life is pretty decent. Overall performance, connectivity is really nice. I'm getting really good connection with the antenna band options that they put in there at the top. T-Mobile, at least in my area, has been rocking my socks off, so it's really nice. So yeah, no, I want to put something together on that, hopefully before our trip. But I also want to
Yeah.
kind of get out that ceramic microphone, and I'm also hoping my house is going to be done before
Yeah.
and I can go back to being on a
Just
normal
make
schedule.
your video production a little easier, not having all that noise.
It's crazy. Like seriously, anyway, I mentioned it on Twitter. I'm getting my roof redone, so constant sound of nails hitting the roof of the house echoes everywhere. I don't have this room soundproofed, so there's just everything is just sound, 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 sound. So for that matter, at least the last couple of weeks, that's why it's been my videos have been slightly scattered apart. So I'm hopefully be back into a normal schedule. Um, are you? Oops, sorry. Are you dropping anything this week, or is there any other videos coming up at the end of
Uh,
for tomorrow
I
or
have
this
some stuff
weekend?
shot.
Hmm.
I'm still again, and unfortunately, keeps kind of getting knocked further and further back in the queue. But I'm done with the timeline. I just need to shoot B-roll for it, which means it's
Hmm.
probably not going to get done next week. Just kind of wrapping up my time with the Unihertz, the little keyboard phone. I want to
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
I've got obviously some Surface stuff that we need to start shooting. I've got the next e-bike video will hopefully be out.
Hmm.
It might not be out next week just because it takes forever to get approvals working it as a sponsored video. Um,
Hopefully, no edits.
uh,
I'll say that much. If approval takes time, that's one thing. But hopefully,
well,
no comebacks.
we went an extra round on communication on this first video where I think it was more a language barrier than
Hmm.
it was actual notes on the video. And so we ended up doing a whole bunch of stuff that I don't think we needed to do because there was a miscommunication because of the people that I was trying to talk back and forth with. But
Yeah, yeah.
one of the things that I think I might skip, um, I might delay doing a comprehensive Pixel 7 Pro review because I personally am playing back and forth very aggressively between the Pixel 7 Pro and the Xperia 1 Mark IV.
Hmm.
And the more that I play opposite these two phones specifically, the more I kind of feel they are polar opposites. They
Hmm.
couldn't be more different if they tried.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yet, I kind of feel they're both, in their own ways, the two most important phones of the year,
Hmm.
even though they
I agree.
represent completely different things. So I
Yeah, yeah.
think instead of jumping straight to 7 Pro review, I think I'm going to try and do a comparison first just to kind of get some of this out of my system. And then I
Hmm.
feel I'll be in a better shape. I'll be in better shape to kind of wrap up a Pixel 7 Pro with some lifestyle use kind of overview or review video from there.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. And before I forget, as you were talking, I forgot to talk because obviously we had there was a holiday. According to my son, it was a holiday.
Right.
So Halloween just happened, obviously, to all of us on Monday.
Yeah.
So hope you guys had a good time for anybody that celebrates it or that had an
Oh, yeah.
opportunity to enjoy that. I ended up taking. So the reason why I'm mentioning it is because I went out
Mm-hmm.
with my son, and I was having problems with my left foot, so I decided that I can't walk that far. My wife was like, "Why don't you just take one of the scooters?" I'm like, "Genius! Like, why didn't I think of that?" You know what I mean? Like, I have the thing. Seriously, like the way she said it, it was just so nonchalant. Just take one of the scooters, you'll be fine. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I will
So
be
I
fine.
will take no. So here's the weird thing. I took the scooter and I was walking with my son, and then my son was walking, ended up basically going to trick or treat with one of his friends from school. His dad, his buddy, has a scooter. So his dad went and picked up the scooter. So now we're like the two dads on scooters following the kids going trick or treating. I was like,
That's
where did that?
awesome.
So it was such a key moment. So yeah, that was my Halloween night. It was on a Monday night, obviously, but it was fun. It was nice. I didn't feel exhausted walking around, and my scooter did the job. It was really cool. Like I was that
Nice.
dad. I don't know
That's
how many people.
excellent. I'm
But
really
I hope
glad
you
to
got.
hear that. Those
Yeah,
scooters
no,
come in handy.
absolutely. It's so easy though. Seriously, like pop, boom, boom. You're ready to go. And they
Hmm.
can go into like small areas. The space is easier. And if you don't want to run them with the battery, you could run them like a regular scooter. You push the scooter and it works right. Um,
Hmm.
how was everything else? Did Lex have a lot of fun trick or treating? Did you guys go out trick or treating, or did you try to keep it
Oh
more?
yeah,
Okay.
she went crazy. So I shot trick or treating on the Xiaomi 12s Ultra and on the Pixel 7 Pro,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was really interesting, kind of juxtaposing those two phones.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I feel like the Pixel 7 Pro is better in a sort of a sort of a more prepared moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even though it's really good at kind of anticipating the shutter. It's not a shutter lag kind of conversation, but when you've got a manic, sugar-fueled 7-year-old bouncing around a neighborhood and running up to houses and running back down, the way that a Pixel will process photos in the background, you don't get many shots before you fill that buffer. And even though I could count on the Pixel 7 to kind of sharpen up an image better, the Xiaomi gave me so many more opportunities
To grab
to try
images,
and
yeah.
get the movement of
Mhm,
that manic pixie 7-year-old running around. So
mhm.
again, it was just very interesting. Like again, there were some technical and some hardware and some practical differences. There were a lot of software differences, and yet I still felt like there were significantly different pros and cons between the two. But we took Lex out to one of the neighborhoods that goes all out here, where they shut down the roads and
Mhm.
it's like very pedestrian friendly for the whole night. They even have like the sheriffs are out, so they're directing traffic away from the neighborhood. It was really lovely. I mean,
Nice.
for the last 2 years, having most of this kind of locked down,
Yeah,
it felt
yeah.
like this was the first time that we'd really opened it back up, and Lex
It
just like went nuts. I mean,
yeah.
it was great to watch. She was little kid high gear. It's exactly what I think she's needed for for the last couple of years.
I could not agree more, but I mean, seriously, I felt that way, and Omar definitely felt it. We were trick or treating with friends. We were hanging out. We're talking. I know it was a Monday. Wish it was on a weekend, but
Hmm.
still, overall, I think, yeah, he made bank. I mean, we found a whole bunch of places that were giving out full candy bars, and to him, that was like
So
the
our
grail of life.
neighborhood again, we want to talk about tech and lifestyle, and I know our show's already running a little long, but we're talking
Sorry.
Halloween here. No, 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 this is great.
Yeah.
The our neighborhood, there's almost no trick or treating. We have this beautiful little condo association neighborhood. Like it would be
Okay.
really easy for kids to go door to door.
Hmm.
No kids trick or treat here. And there's this kid who lives in our neighborhood who he just has a few sort of low level developmental issues.
Hmm.
But he's a really sweet kid. So we put out a bowl of candy just if anyone came by, take some candy. And we left like a little sign saying, take 2 or 3 pieces or something like that.
Well,
I have a dozen doorbell camera alerts of this kid following the rules, but emptying our candy bowl, like going around, and then like 10 minutes later, coming back and taking
2 or 3 pieces.
so he was just walking this one little block and he ended up draining. I mean, it was like, it wasn't a huge bowl of candy, but I mean, he ended up draining our entire bowl all by himself. And at first you're like, oh man, this kid. And you're like, actually, you know what? I'm kind of glad he did. There really wasn't any serious trick or treating in our neighborhood. And I'm glad we had something there for him to grab. But it was just so cute how he kept coming back but he kept following the rules of the sign that
Because
we
he could,
had
yeah, you're right.
out.
Because he could have just emptied the bowl the first time
Just
and
taking the
just said,
bowl and
"Thank
dump
you."
the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
"Thank you very much. I took
So
2 or 3 multiple." Yeah, no, I love the fact that he followed, and I actually, surprisingly
cute.
enough, quite a few families and quite a few homes here, at least in my neighborhood, did the same. They wanted to go
Oh
out.
yeah.
They didn't want it to stay home. And so,
Yeah.
in that aspect, I think my wife and I decided to split the duties. So she stayed home this year. Usually, I'm the one who stays home.
Mhm.
She's the one who goes trick or treating with Omar. But this time I went, and so yeah, I not a problem. A lot of people respected. There was a few people that just emptied out the bowl and like what seriously here and there. At the end of the day, there was candy to be had. Kids had fun. Kid has candy. Kids had a
Yeah.
lot of candy still. I'm pretty sure because we have a massive bag that I'm trying to help whittle down, but I need to stop.
Right.
It's just hard. It's all the good stuff. And again, the look on their faces when they get full candy bars, like, oh my god, did you believe that? They give out a full candy. I'm like, okay, it's a full
I
candy. It's a full
but
Twix,
but
no
what does
baby
that
thing.
do for your heart? Lex,
Mhm.
like we went up to this one house and we see her we didn't walk all the way up to the door. We would just stay
Yeah,
down in the
usually, yeah,
driveway.
that's the same. Yeah, we just let him just
And we
go.
see her like talking to the lady and then looking down at the bowl to grab something and then she looks up at the lady again and she looks down at the bowl and then she starts doing this little like vibrating bouncy thing and she grabs something throws it in her bag and then like the flash she is like bolting down to us. She had full size Skittles. She gave me a full size Skittles. It was in a little bag of Skittles. It's a full size Skittles. She's like throwing her bag on the ground and she's digging through it. It's the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time she's
yeah.
ever gotten
Full
like
size.
not the first time, but it's like that was the first time of that night.
It's registering it, and it's hitting
Yeah,
the
it's the
same.
first time it's registered. Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
this
Yeah,
was special. That it was a full size. She could not have been more excited. And you're just
yeah.
Marie and I are just like, oh my god, this is our baby. Oh my god, this is so cute. So
I know.
it
No,
was it was really nice. It
it's
felt
the
normal again.
yeah,
And last
yeah.
year was fun, but it didn't feel normal this year. This
Little
year's
more,
it
yeah.
felt
This
normal.
this felt like Halloween's back. Let's just say that Halloween is back.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry for everybody. Kind of like dads going up on kids enjoying it. It's the joy of life. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Seeing your kid enjoy something and that spark comes on, the light turn, like just
Hmm.
such an invigorating, satisfying and proud moment to be there. And
Oh
of
yeah.
course, all in my mind, at least in the back of my mind, I was like, oh my god, how much candy is he going to be eating? So yeah, he's been taking candy to school as snacks. He's been eating some of them later in the afternoon. So
Hmm.
um, we'll have that for quite some time. But it
But
is
tell
what it
me,
is.
isn't it funny? Like we haven't really been. I mean, we've been like trying not to just let her gorge, but
Yeah,
we
yeah, no, no,
haven't been
absolutely.
sitting there and policing her, and she's kind of tapered off on her own.
Yeah, because the special part of it kind of I have a
There's
theory,
so
and
much of it.
yeah, yeah, no, and I always tell this to my wife. I say sushi's only great because you don't have sushi every time, every day. And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Sushi's amazing. Sushi's expensive, but if you ate sushi every day, by the third day you'll be like, I'm done." It's
Yeah.
special because it's a treat. And candy is special because of that. And once you have too much of it, where it just sits there and it's a pile, you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll come back to it later. Kind of one of those things. But and I think it's fine. And I think that's typically what happens with us either way, because I think all the major good stuff is already kind of gone. Um,
Yeah.
and then we had one family giving out home baked goods, which unfortunately we didn't keep. I was just
Yeah.
not comfortable. Yeah,
There was one house where a guy was like, "Hey, I'm popping up popcorn." And like, no, thank you.
thank you. Yeah, I didn't. So
We're
because we
good.
weren't going up to the door with Omar, he took it and he brought it back to us, him and his friend. So we just basically put it in a baggie and we just like, it's okay. Let's just stick
Thank
to the
you.
normal stuff. Yeah, thank you. It looks
I feel
nice.
terrible because that was obviously some
I'm sure
effort
you
went into
a
that.
lot of effort. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. Candy corn. No, no candy corn. No, no, we didn't. Actually, not one family gave out candy corn. One family did give out what's it called? The cheese and peanut butter crackers. It was like,
Oh
what?
yeah. We got a bunch of those. There were little Halloween themed veggie chips.
Yeah.
A couple houses were giving those out, and then there
Hmm.
are these Halloween pretzels. They're like bat shaped pretzels. Lex
Oh, we
hates
got
them.
Halloween
I've eaten
Takis.
every single bag. Oh, see, that's good.
Takis was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little bit
I
spicy,
wish
Halloween themed
anyone was giving
zombie.
those out. I would have been all over those.
I know, I know. So yeah, we're making this into a food
So on
blog.
that note,
Join us on our adventure. But really on that note, um, keep it with us. Next week we're going to be back with a very special show from a different destination. So we are going to be remote. We will keep you guys posted. So please make sure to follow and check us on the socials. Obviously, are in the description below for the show notes. But with that being said, I want to say thank you very much to everybody for hanging out with us on this beautiful Thursday evening. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying warm if it is cold where you are, as the weather is starting to change with the fall kind of coming in. Aditya, thank you very much. G versions in there, Slomo Joe, Farhan in there. Obviously Andrew in the beginning, and of course Michael Corrigan in there, Michael Peppertech, both of our Michaels in there, and everybody just taking their time and spending it with us on this beautiful Thursday evening. Um, Look forward to some more content. Juan, of course, pushing out some of his stuff as well. I'm going to try to push out one more video this weekend before pushing another video next week before our trip. So we'll have to figure out. I'm trying to figure out the timing and everything. And this week we have another meet. So this is why we're dual shooting the Android Bay and the best of our week again. Which between you and me, I don't mind. I'm actually kind of liking it. I'm not going to lie. I do miss Saturday mornings, but having the opportunity to be fully there for Omar is also a big thing for me.
nice.
So
it
sorry for that. Yeah, no, for sure. So be safe, stay safe. We'll see you guys again, hopefully next week around either Thursday evening or Friday. We'll let you know on the socials for another episode of the Best Hour Week. And we're going to have a lot of cool stuff there. I promise you this. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff, a lot of fresh, hot off the press type of stuff. Because this is Juan and I getting a chance to travel somewhere. Like last time with TCL, we were local. This time we're going somewhere. So it's fancy,
it's fancy.
fancy pants. No. So take care, be safe, stay safe, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye for now.